our attention here to statistics. The Danyliw Seminar, over 15 years in numbers. I got these wonderful invitations to take part in the 40th anniversary of the Canadian Institute of Ukrainian Studies. That was 3 years ago. And the 50th anniversary of the Harvard Ukrainian Research Institute. That was 2 years ago. And Professor Magoshi's recollections were basically resulting from the former, the CIUS Institute 40th anniversary. The director had asked questions, etc. And they asked me basically to talk about the field of Ukrainian studies, or where is the field going, something like that. And I figured, what can I say? What can I say that would be perhaps original, not just speculation? So I figured, well, the future of the field of Ukrainian studies, I see it with my own eyes every year at the Danyliw Seminar. The future is now. Over 15 years, I've seen basically the new field or the evolving field of Ukrainian studies. So that was my pitch. And I did a revised version in Cambridge the year after. And in a database that won't rival that of Stefan, I built my own database of all participants who presented at the Danyliw Seminar. There's 233 of them. That includes 2019. And so you get here a first breakdown that it's mostly an academic event, but we do, at the edge, it's important, involve, include, invite non-academics. I mentioned the international journalists and international reporters in 2014, the practitioners, diplomats. We had a diplomatic roundtable. If I go back to this diplomatic presence here in 2014, we had Michael Batsurkiv, who was the spokesman of the OSCE special mission in Ukraine, and the first one on site when the MH17 plane crashed in July. Daniel Caron, former ambassador of Canada to Ukraine. And the last two are very interesting in terms of, the upward mobility here at the Danyliw Seminar. We had two participants in 2014 on different panels who are currently in the cabinet of President Zelensky in Ukraine. Vadim Pristaika, who was at that time ambassador of Ukraine to Canada, previously was number 2 in the embassy, so he actually came to the seminars quite a bit over the years, is currently the foreign minister of Ukraine. And what's his name again? Milovanov, yeah, Timofey Milovanov, at that time an assistant professor of economics at the University of Pittsburgh, is currently the Minister of Trade and Economic, whatever it's called, Economic Minister in the Zelensky cabinet. So there you go. We've got two ministers from the 2014 seminar.
And
so
he likes us today on Facebook, so he put a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Despite being Minister of Economics, he's still following.
We will have the current ambassador tomorrow, Andrei Shevchenko. So back to the numbers. So it's kind of 80% academic, 19% non-academic. This is, I told you, the future is now. So regularly, over 15 years, and the trend continues, that a large segment is doctoral students, roughly 1/3. I put 65% scholars, but roughly another 1/3 is young scholars who were graduate students not too long ago, maybe last year. And then a bit more senior scholars, or mid-career or senior scholars. So this has been, over 15 years, a platform for the new generation, and the data kind of shows it. This is interesting. The gender breakdown. Well, the gender breakdown of the selection committee is 83% women, so 5 out of 6. It actually reflects a major trend. I think the seminar reflects a trend in Ukrainian studies, or a larger trend in social science and in history among the younger generation. So we're overall 55% women, With doctoral students, it's actually the wrong statistics. With doctoral students, there was a mistake here. You can look at the original data in, in the program. The proportion is actually 70%. So we get more than 2 out of 3 of our doctoral students are actually women. This is not a plan that we're having. We're just discovering that through the data, that this is basically the trend, very strong trend, and there's even a subset in that data of doctoral students coming from Ukraine. Here, the ratio is 9-1, but it may have to do with the economic situation in Ukraine. So we get the vast majority of doctoral students who we invite from Ukraine are women. So I don't know what to make of it, except that there is definitely very well, what I put on the cover of the program is a gender reversal kind of phenomenon going on. Country of residence, the seminar is 83% international, so it's held in Canada, but it's 83% non-Canadian, and as you see, it goes for the United States. It's quite a bit, but Ukraine over the years, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and others. Among the others, there's Russia, very small number. Not because we don't want scholars from Russia to come, but because in the application pool, it is very, 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 very tiny. I think we had 1 this year, maybe 2, and didn't cut it. That is the reality, sorry. And in terms of disciplines, so here I didn't put the percentages, but the aggregate numbers. So we're strong in social science, political science 65, sociology, anthropology, but 56 history, that is 35% to 40%, and it's trending up. So very, very strong scholarship among, again, largely the younger generation, because the seminar is 2/3 young scholars to graduate students. The one field, very important field that we're not covering, we did at the edges with some special, can't do everything, is kind of more the humanities and folklore and literature. And that, of course, is very well done elsewhere, but we did have a few presentations over the years. And finally, on the Ukrainian component, because I asked Professor Magoshi, who are you? Are you Ukrainian, American, etc.? So I was trying to put like an identity profile of the seminar participants. When I, in the early 1990s, got interested in Ukraine, while the non-Ukrainians who were in the field, I could count them on the finger of one hand, maybe 2, but maybe 1. It was largely, for understandable reason, and the field of people of ethnic Ukrainian background, generally diaspora, second generation, by that time. It has changed considerably, of course, with the independence of Ukraine and the advent of the interest by a new generation towards Ukraine from various disciplines and various research questions and thematics. Ukraine as a field of investigation just got to be very interesting, and increasingly so. So we get here the picture. The seminar is 42% Ukrainian and 58% non-Ukrainian. So we have a strong, in terms of the, again, the identity, what is the best term here? The ethnic background, or in terms of the background of their parents, where they're coming from. Is there a connection? Is there a territorial or identity connection with Ukraine, directly from Ukraine or through a first or second generation? And what we've seen here is that increasingly the field, among the, if the Danyliw Seminar is somewhat a representative sample of where the field is going, that the Ukrainian component is increasingly from Ukraine. Well, at this seminar, literally from Ukraine and traveling from Ukraine to the seminar, like we have, as I said, 8. Or from Ukraine, but residing everywhere, like all over the world. And we have Daria here, right on the committee, who's in England, and Oksana in the United States, so already that representation. And the Ukrainian diaspora component going down, which is also normal. That is the Ukrainian diaspora, which used to be basically like in the days of Professor Magoshi, like the majority component. You felt like the outsider vis-a-vis the diaspora peers. This is going down, being replaced by basically the new scholarship produced from Ukraine, which is impressive, I would say. Impressive. It's the vitality of the field. I mean, it comes from everywhere, but Ukraine is, despite the huge economic challenges, is making it possible to regenerate, and to not just to regenerate, but to develop in new directions this exciting field of Ukrainian studies. So this is it. That's 15 years, so we hope that we will have many more years to come. So I once again would like to thank Andrew for the support. Want to have a final word?
Yeah, I'm just looking at your timer, Dominique. This time I think you are close to being out of time. So.
I'm definitely out of time.
I just wanted to touch on one word, actually. Dominique has alluded to it earlier, and that word is scope. You know, through my involvement with Dominique and the rest of the powers that be of the Danyliw Seminar, you know, one of our, you know, as the years went by, one of our sort of you know, guiding objectives was, you know, how can we you know, reach more people? You know, and from the very beginnings, in the little room across the street there, you know, we always thought that we had created something that needed to sort of, for lack of a better word, sort of broadcast to a larger audience. And you know, as the seminar developed, not just the interdisciplinary aspects and the bringing together of different areas of academia, but you know, as we transitioned into the last sort of 5 years, you know, it was a really good opportunity for us to, you know, Dominique alluded to the digital, to the videotaping and the recording and making it available online. And for us, that was always a very important thing, you know, because what we do here is really valuable. And the fact that we were able to, you know, disseminate that to a larger audience, you know, that is interested and, you know, cannot be here to attend. I think that was, you know, for me over the last sort of several years, that was one of the most important sort of, you know, evolutions of what we were doing here. And it's awesome to think that, you know, people all over the world, wherever they are or whatever their interest in Ukraine is, they can actually, you know, listen in and hear what was said and the discussions that were had. And if that even helps just a little bit, then, you know, we've reached even more than just that one person, right? So the scope of the seminar is pretty impressive. And I'm sure as technology increases, perhaps one day we'll have, you know, like live feeds of people from participating in the seminar from other parts of the world. Who knows? But certainly would bring an interesting element to what we do and the scope that everybody has worked so hard to develop and to create. So anyway, thank you all for being here, and thank you for your words, and everybody else's. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll say this to end. That'll be my last word. When I see Andrew, we always do these post-mortem. Well, first he asked me about how Mail's doing, how Oksana's doing, etc., Anna, and then I tell him about the new talent, let's call it that way, that we attract at the seminar, the young scholars. And we get excited about, because it's happening every year. And I won't name names for this year, but we're very excited about some of the new talents here. that made it to the seminar. And that, I think that is the most rewarding part of the whole experience. So on that note, thank you all. We have an opening reception right on the other side of the curtain. And we hope to see you back for tomorrow, another intense day, 9 a.m. Thank you.